Most people think that get rich quick is a scam, especially in the software space. But it is very much possible if you know what levers to pull and when. So in this video, I'm going to show you the proven strategies and shortcuts that I have personally tried and seen work, and I've also replicated it with other people, and how you can do the same exact thing. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now, for those of you who don't know me, first and foremost, let me give a quick little introduction as to why you should even listen to me. I wrote my first line of code back in 2016, right, in MATLAB. That's me right there. After which I went to UCLA to study the human consciousness as part of the Elegance Mind Club. This was just, you can think of it as summer research opportunity. After which I went into NASA as a computer engineering intern. After which I went into the Fortune 500 as a software engineering consultant. I started off as a junior developer, making about this much money. And then in 3 years, I actually got promoted to a manager. So from junior to senior to manager within 3 years. And this was how much money I was making. So about $250,000 per year after all the bonuses and everything. And then I quit that to found AB Analytics, which is the consulting firm that I run to this day. It's an AI consulting firm. And this was just our revenue within the month of October up to this date. Keep in mind, I do not take this much away. This is my revenue, which means I have expenses alongside many other things. And last but not least, a little bit about myself. If you want to know more about me, just go to about.code2co.com. You'll understand what Code2Co is about, and alongside a few other things. So that's just about me. Let's get straight into the topic of today's video. So the main thing I want to talk about is really getting rich quick as a software engineer. Now, a bunch of red flags are probably going off. Oh my God, another guru talking about getting rich quick. But first, let's define what quick means, okay? Let's first put a definition of quick and then getting rich, because fundamentally speaking, everything that you saw over here, right, from this moment to this moment, right, took less than 5 years time frame. From me making $250,000 a year to me taking double that home in a month, right, with my business, took less than 5 years time frame. So let me explain what I mean by getting rich quick. So quick, it is not overnight, okay? First and foremost, I do not mean overnight. By getting rich quick, I mean 3 to 5 years. That is a time frame that I'm setting. Could be quicker than this, but 3 to 5 years is what you should have in mind. And get rich, I mean financial freedom. And I mean financial freedom from the perspective of you will never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about money ever again. You can eat wherever you want, you can buy whatever you want, you can live anywhere you want. Of course, I'm not talking about you going and buying a super yacht that's $150 million, but I do mean that you can drive pretty much mostly anything you want. You can have an income of about $1 to $3 million a year, take home that is after taxes, and live a very, very good life. That is only 3 to 5 years away from you. So first, let me explain what people get wrong about this. That the first thing that came to your mind probably is, this is impossible. Okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He probably got lucky, he did it himself. But there's a few other students in Code2Co who are very close to this exact thing, and they're gonna get there way faster than 3 to 5 years. I'll maybe link down the videos below that you can see them. But fundamentally speaking, this thing entirely works because of what's called leverage. Okay, so let's explain this first and foremost. Since the time that Jesus was born, right, let's assume strictly 2025 years, right, multiply by 365. And then if every single day since the time Jesus was born, you made $500,000 a day, guess what? You will still have less money than Elon Musk, okay? First, I want you to just pause and understand how insane that statistic is. For 2025 years, if you made every single day $500,000, of course I'm not accounting for inflation, you would have less money than Elon Musk. You would have about 360 billion. Elon Musk, I think, is sitting at like 400 billion net worth. The absurdity of it is just funny. So how are there billionaires in this world? Well, it comes down to leverage, okay? And the fundamental rule about leverage is as follows. In life, you're gonna make mistakes, especially as a software engineer, okay? You're gonna try to do stuff, they're not gonna work. But what ends up happening is you have these bunch of 1x's, 2x's, 5x's, right? You have these tasks that you'll fail at. What is most important is that the task that you do succeed at, because remember, you can fail 1,000 times at these, but the task that you do succeed at is a 10,000 task. And once you succeed at that, you gain immense wealth. Similarly to my story over here, I'm not the smartest person, right? There are definitely people more technically adept than me, and I failed a significant amount of times, but my failures didn't mean much, right? In the grand scheme of things, because I just needed to hit this 10,000x once. Now, I'm not comparing this to a lottery or gambling. Do not make that comparison. This is going to be a lot more sound and actually a lot more repeatable. There's a system behind this. So we understood leverage. We understand that for us to get to this level is very much possible, because how can somebody be as wealthy as, let's say, Elon Musk, right? And there's people way wealthier than him in the trillions, right? Even if you made 500K a day, you wouldn't be able to reach that. So there has to be something we're not fundamentally understanding about money. Now, let's get into getting rich quick as a software engineer. So we're going to start off from very, very small increments, and then I'm going to draw out the entire plan of what you can do. Most of you right now watching this video are making over $5,000 a month, probably way over that, okay? My assumption is most of you watching this are making 6 figures a year if you're in the United States or Western Europe, and if you're in Eastern Europe, you're still making a lot more than the average. If you are not, then this video is not for you. Please click off. I should probably said that earlier, but if you are a beginner, do not watch this. It will not help you too much. It will only probably confuse you. But if you are making this much money, this video is specifically for you. So let's understand where you're at right now. Let's assume average software engineer, I'm going to take it from people in California, right? Since I'm in California, let's say making about 140K a year. Okay? Now, they might think if they want to get to a 200K salary or something like that, they're going to need at least, let's say, 3 years of upskilling, job hopping, interviews, and whatever. This can probably be brought down to, honestly, a month range. You might ask, how the hell can that be done from 140K to, let's say, 200K in a month? Well, if the individual in question takes a more personalized approach, starts cold emailing the companies he wants to work at, or especially the founders, starts going out of his way to create that opportunity and does more leverage work, there is a chance that he will get to this 200K, at least a more probable chance than just waiting the 3 years and getting that promotion later down the line, right? If he says it's the same company. So there's always a specific action you can take. There's always an opportunity cost to what you're doing, that you can do something better or bigger to get to your goal. Now, instead of this 200K, right, let's imagine, for the sake of argument, it is 2 million that we want to get to. Now, obviously, it's going to be very difficult in a 9-to-5 setting, okay? So we have to understand, okay, it's going to be outside of the 9-to-5, it's going to be with a business. Okay, I already knew that, but what are you going to try to explain here? How am I going to scale my business from absolute zero to, let's say, $2 million in 3 to 5 years time frame? So this is where it actually gets very interesting. Most people, when they take a look at business, the reason most software engineers, then when they become entrepreneurs, it doesn't end up working out for them, is because they still have the same employee mindset. They still have the same linear progression mindset of a 9-to-5, right? When you get into business, the one thing you need to absolve is your linear mindset, okay? Because once again, always think back to this analogy. Since the time Jesus was born, if you made $500,000 every single day, you would still be poorer than Elon Musk. You would have less money, okay? That fundamentally tells you something about leverage, that it is possible within a lifetime, within 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, however long it takes. Many people within 5 years, 10 years, right? Most of the newest billion-dollar companies, to make that absurd amount of money. So that means leverage must exist in a 10,000, 100,000, 1 million scale to allow you to do exactly that. So your goal in this 3 to 5 years isn't necessarily to, how am I going to make $2 million? It's in, how do I unlock the leverage that would allow me to make an X amount of money? It is all about the leverage. So if our goal is at 2 million, let's understand the form that leverage might take. Now, the best way I want you to think of leverage is as a vehicle, okay? Right now, let's say I want to go to the local grocery store. I will most likely walk. Oops, that is a 9, that is not a person. Now, why will I walk? Well, because I don't want to go into the garage, start up the car, wait for it to warm up, take it out, go, find parking, get out of the car, come back, rinse and repeat, right? If I can just, let's say it's a 2-minute walk or a 3-minute walk for me, it's more efficient for me to choose a vehicle such as walking. However, if I want to go to the Costco that's about 15 miles away from me, I could walk, but that's going to be a pretty damn long walk. Frankly, I'm going to go and choose a car. I could do a bike, but I don't have a bicycle, so I'm just going to take my car. right? In that aspect, I would choose a car. It would be extremely inefficient for me to choose to walk. And frankly, if I want to, let's say, go to New York, I could drive, but that's going to be a couple-day drive at the bare minimum. So the most likely and most efficient option for me is to fly there, is to fly to New York. Just ignore that part. I do not know what that happened. Okay, I don't know what happened back there. So that's what determines a vehicle. Okay, so think of leverage exactly like a vehicle. The analogy I'm getting to here is if you want to make, let's say, 200K, right? That's rich for you. The shortest path to you wouldn't be to start a business. The shortest path, if you're currently doing 140K a year at a job, within a month, you can easily land a 200K opportunity. Just like that. Simply through networking, simply through talking with people, simply through taking life by the horns, cold emailing people, personalizing it, and really putting yourself out there to get that position. It's all about numbers. The more outreach you do, the more jobs you apply for and actually apply, not just send in a random resume, there will come a time where you will get this offer. Okay? Very easy. If you want to get to 2 million, it's going to be way more difficult because you're trying to walk to that 2 million. Now, is it possible to make 2 million in a 9 to 5? Yes, it is possible, but it is probable. For many of you, not so much, because in terms of software, the only thing you're really going to need to be doing is either have equity in a startup, which still makes you a business owner, frankly, or you need to be in quant or an L8 or an L9 engineer at Facebook, and maybe with all the compensation, you'll be able to get to 2 million. But even that is stretching it, right? So frankly, if you want to make this, forget about walking, right? Because in a 9 to 5, you're not going to be able to make this money. So naturally, you now identify, okay, the vehicle that I need to choose is either an airplane or a car to get to this 2 million. And anything after walking, right, you have business. But what does business really entail? Because there's a bunch of things in business, right? But now you identified, for me to make my 2 million, I am going to get into business. But what does business mean? Is it just freelancing? Is it a software agency? Is it an AI agency? Is it a SaaS? Is it a B2B SaaS? Is it a B2C SaaS? What is it? Well, to break down furthermore, these business models, each of them are their own vehicles. Think of your local grocery store or your local bakery shop. Those are examples of cars, like a Fiat, something not so fast, small, compact, gets the job done, right? And then think of the bigger businesses. Maybe you have, I don't know, a Google office in your area. Now that wouldn't be a car, that would already be more like an airplane. But if you have, let's say, a bigger franchise, let's say an In-N-Out in Southern California, that would be a very fast car. Now I can't draw a hypercar for the life of me, but I'm going to try my best. And that's the spoiler. Yeah, you can tell my drawing skills aren't necessarily the best, but get along with me. So, moving on. The same exact leverage exists in business models. So business itself is a leverage, okay? It kind of makes the introduction to cars and airplanes, and then the specific business model we'll choose will be what type of car and what type of airplane that we'll have to choose. Now, 2 million is actually very rookie numbers for a business, mainly because there are businesses out there in the millions and billions, even trillions nowadays. So $2 million is very, very much possible, and frankly, it is possible with no teammates, no employees whatsoever, just you, solo. Let me explain. So you're gonna have a car in this aspect. Now you're gonna say, okay, what do I do specifically? What business do I start? Do I start a laundromat? I'm a software engineer. Or do I do something with software? And there tends to be this nuance that because we are software engineers, right, we have this duty to only create a SaaS because that's what we have to do. We've done that at work. We went and got our 4-year degree. We're bound to make a SaaS. If we do anything else, it's going to feel like a waste of our degree and a waste of our talent and everything else, right? But frankly, nobody is saying that you have to do this because remember, this is just one of the vehicles you have chosen for yourself. There are plenty of other vehicles that can get you to your goal. So the first thing you need to do is identify which vehicle am I going to choose? Because frankly, based on the vehicle you choose, you can get to your goal much faster. However, if you have no experience whatsoever behind the wheel, you can't just buy a Bugatti or you can't just get into a McLaren and expect to drive it. Because frankly, you're going to crash, right? That's primarily why when most software engineers begin with a SaaS, they crash and burn. That is why the failure rate is so high when people get into a SaaS. Because you can think of a SaaS as a very high-end car, a supercar or a hypercar. it is not for beginners. And frankly, it is fast. It can get you to your destination in an ample amount of time. However, you need to be able to maneuver it properly. You need to have some driving experience to be able to handle a car like that. And I'm not even talking about the airplanes, right? So you first need to identify, okay, I don't have any business experience yet in the sense of I don't have experience driving supercars or hypercars, so I can't really quite push them to their level. So let me get something that I can push to the limit that will allow me to get to where I want to get to, okay? From then on, you start identifying, okay, service-based stuff. I can do service-oriented things. This is where essentially the main point of the video, the 3 to 5 year time frame that I said. The opportunity right now, as of this moment, is as follows. There is a very big gap between technical and non-technical people. This gap is only going to increase as technology gets more and more advanced. Frankly, the technical people that I talk to on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure you guys observe it as well, even we are having a difficult time keeping up with all the advancements in AI. There was a very recent Stack Overflow survey that came out that said most developers are not using agents to code, which is just mind-boggling to me, because those of you who do code with agents know just how big of a difference it makes. So if the technical people are blind to the advancements in technology and not using the tools that completely just give that leverage that I just talked about over here, right, that allow you to experience this type of leverage, imagine where the non-technical individuals are at. So in the next 3 to 5 years, if you want to get rich quick, quote unquote, if you want to make that 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, whatever the case, it is going to be in this specifically. Your role will be to be the bridge between these people. You are the technical person, you're going to need to be the bridge between the non-technical people. What do I mean by that? It's as follows. Most of the hype is around AI, so I'm going to talk about AI primarily, but you can apply this to any other type of software. So whether it's going to be quant, whether it's going to be, now you have robotics, right? Recently, with, I think it was like the personal assistant at home type of thing, like a made-up stuff. I forgot, I think it was Evo or whatever. You guys will know what I'm talking about. Whatever the case, I'm just going to highlight AI for now since it's the easiest and also what I have the most experience in. But even I myself, every single day when I work with individuals, I sell projects, we do work, B2B, right? I am mind-boggled at the state of the regular, non-technical person who is a business owner. People do not understand what is really out there. And many software engineers make the assumption that everybody else at least has sort of a baseline understanding of what it is that they are doing. Most people nowadays, they don't even know how to properly use a smartphone. And I'm not making that up. The capabilities of your smartphone, I would say a daily average user, let's say in the United States, probably uses less than 2% of the capabilities that the smartphone provides, right? Because there are so many, I'm sure you, if you don't know, there are developer options, right? You can use for your smartphone. It'll unlock so many things there. Just even the settings in general with regards to, let's say, the blue light filter and all these things. Most people are not even aware of this. Now, you might be aware of it because you're a software engineer, you've grown up in this tech environment, you know it inside out, but most individuals are not like you. When I say they are far, far from technology, I truly mean it. They only know the basics that everybody else is exposed to. But all the stuff behind the scenes, they do not understand. So the biggest opportunity, and this is exactly what I'm doing here in LA, in my local market, I have not gone out of LA, I haven't gone to Boston or New York or whatever the case. I am simply the go-to bridge, right, between the technical, which is me, and the non-technical, which is everybody else. My entire role with my firm is to literally consult and audit companies on how and if and why and when they should software or AI in their processes, okay? I get paid to consult them on whether or not it is appropriate to use some type of a software here for an automation purposes to integrate AI, or is it just going to be a waste of time to not do it? Because fundamentally, people do not understand that. Furthermore, there is an even bigger opportunity here to not only make that bridge, but also connect your technical work to business outcomes. Because most individuals are not doing this. How many people know for a fact what line of code or how many lines of code, or let's say the project specifically that they made, how much impact it truly had. Let's say even monetarily. Most people don't even have an accurate assessment. Let's say they'll have a monthly revenue, but they won't even know what their costs are. Okay? So this is the state that most things are in. Everybody assumes that everything is functioning perfectly. Everybody assumes that everything is in a very maintained state, but it's not. It's really not. If you look at it fundamentally, and it goes back to the analogy that I keep making, right? You can fail at so many different things, but as long as the one thing that you need to get right, you do it somewhat right. It doesn't matter how many other failures you have. A perfect example with the human body. You can have a very sedentary lifestyle, eat extremely unhealthy, and all these things, but it will only take you about 4 to 6 months of actual proper activity, physical activity, and eating healthy to kind of get your body back up to where it was. So you can do 2 years of damages to it. Now, of course, I don't want this taken out of context. I'm not saying go smoke 50 cigarettes every single day and then see if you can recover it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a sedentary lifestyle, let's say of 2 years, can easily be off-put by a few months of proper physical activity and a proper diet, right? So if you do the positives, the high leverage positives, they are significantly more important than the negatives that you'll be doing. Same thing applies to life as well. As long as you don't do anything major to mess up your life, like end up in jail and going to prison or anything like that, you are relatively good as long as you just do the right things, right? If you do the high leverage things right, you don't even have to be the best at it. As long as you just do it, you will see the output. Same exact thing applies in business. And this is what I'm saying. Every single one of you, every single software engineer watching this can get exactly where I got to within 3 to 5 years, if not even faster. So let's first talk about how you're gonna do that. Let's assume your goal is 5 years timeline to make that $2 million. And this is annually recurring. So you should make this every single year. You first identify where you're at right now. How much money are you at? How much more are you going to need? And you come to the conclusion that every single time you're watching this, you're not going to get there with a 9 to 5. You need to start a business. What business do I start? Doesn't really matter what type of business you're going to start, because end of the day, you're going to begin, every single one of you are going to begin with this exact sort of a consultant mindset, okay? So you need to become more of a consultant. Understand you are not a coder anymore. Understand you are not a developer. You are not an executioner of tasks. You are a consultant. You have authority. You have credibility under your name. You are a technical individual who is now in charge of helping non-technical people, specifically business owners, adopt the technical side of things. Now, strictly speaking B2B, you can apply this to B2C too, because a lot of regular individuals, hell, most of the devs aren't even using agents to code. That's another gap in the market. If you try to solve that you're going to make a lot of money doing that as well, okay? So there's a lot of these opportunities out there in the world, connecting the technical to the non-technical, because once again, you cannot assume that non-technical people know even 1% of what you know on the technical side, and vice versa. There's just like how there's a lot of things you might not know about business specifically, non-technical people don't know even like 1% of that from the tech side, okay? So you become this sort of a consultant. Now, best way to start, this is exactly what I did. I highly recommend it. If you are in the United States or if you're in a prominent Western country, right, start in a local environment. Position yourself as the authority. Position yourself, let's assume a city, I don't know, give me a random city. Can't even think of Phoenix. Let's say Phoenix, Arizona. You work in Phoenix, Arizona, okay? You now, let's say you quit your job, you're now in this mindset that you're going to become a consultant. What you do is you join your chamber of commerce, okay? You go to all the events, tech events that you can around your area. You familiarize yourself with the business landscape. You talk with your business owners, and essentially on LinkedIn or whatever you're really going to use, whether it's going to be Facebook or LinkedIn, you want to position yourself as the authority in that space. Whether it's the AI authority, whether it's the software authority, whatever the case. Position yourself as a local authority. Because once again, even to make $2 million, hell, even $10 million, you do not need to step outside of your local market. There is so much money flowing in on a local enough scene, especially in the United States, you do not need to pursue international clients or even out-of-state clients. Strictly for those of you in the United States I'm referring to. So mark and kind of identify yourself as the expert in your local setting. Me right now, I'm the local setting, not even in all of LA. I'm literally local, kind of, you can like a go-to guy in Pasadena, Burbank, and Glendale. Okay, not even all of LA. I have on the more western side, like Santa Monica and stuff, I'm not even touching yet. This is strictly just talking about Glendale, Burbank, and Pasadena. That is my go-to area. And frankly, most of them really revolve around Burbank and Glendale. Pasadena, not so much. It's been a very new thing. But we are able to still make that much money because there is still so much opportunity around here. And I know what you might say, oh, that's because you're located in Southern California. Other states are not like that. Guess what? Cost of living in other states isn't nearly as much as here either. So you don't need maybe to make that much money either. Maybe the 2 million in California is equivalent to like 1 million in Arizona. And frankly, just out of the taxes and living expenses, I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually true. So also keep that in mind too. Don't look at this number specifically as like, oh, 2 million is a solid specific 2 million, compared to your cost of living and everything else around you as well. My exact saying is you can make 10 times, 20 times your salary within the next 3 to 5 years very easily. Mark yourself as a consultant, an expert in your specific field. Make yourself known in your local environment, okay, in your local setting. Be the go-to guy for anything software, AI related, right? Especially AI now since it's such a hype. And begin marketing. Okay, so you're going to ask, how are you going to market? Walk up to business owners, go to these business meetings, join your chamber of commerce, talk with people, network with people, see what you can do for them. Whether it's a lawyer in your network, whether it's your dentist that you go to every now and then, whether it's your doctor that you visit, whether it's the hospice or home health, let's say, that your grandma is staying at, or whatever the case, right? Talk with them, talk with the owners, try to understand the business problems they're facing. From my perspective, I see so many problems on a day-to-day basis. It is simply mind-boggling that there's this many problems that exist. Home health and hospices and dentists all complaining about billing issues. The nurses complaining about, specific patient care plans, filling out the charting, all of it. Everybody's complaining, always. The dentists are complaining, the logistics companies are complaining, everybody's complaining about specific problems, and every single one of those problems can be solved with software. All you really have to do is put yourself in a position to do exactly that. And this is what I mean by get rich quick. It's 3 to 5 years, very conservative estimate even, I would say you can get there relatively quickly too. All you really have to do is spend a year, a solid year, every single day, just how you put 8 hours into your 9 to 5 every single day for years. Dedicate 1 year, 8 hours a day to actually doing this, becoming an expert in your local area, okay? Talking with business owners, showing yourself as an authority and the credible source of the software guy, trying to connect business outcomes, right, to your code and vice versa, trying to connect and bridge the gap between technical and not technical people, and really becoming the expert in your area on one specific thing, whether it's software, whether it's AI, whatever the case you're going to try to do, okay? That is my biggest sort of quote unquote get rich quick hack that I can share with you. And frankly, this works everywhere. Check out Marco. I believe his testimonials on the website. If not, it's on another channel as well. But within 6 months, he pretty much made generational wealth. Got equity at a company, and he's going to make generational wealth now. We have a new one coming out. You'll see that as well of another individual that also got extremely successful. We have John from the Bay Area, over $150,000 a month now. And he just became the go-to expert in his area. And that's not to say you need to be the only go-to expert. That's what's crazy too. These cities are so big. There's so many people out there. Even if you have a city of about 10,000 people, right? You have a city of about 100 business owners or 200 business owners, which is very, very minimal. You can have 2 or 3 competitors there and you'll still get a certain market share of it. All because one person might like the other and they might not like you, or vice versa. It's simply how it works. As long as there's even having more competition is even a good thing too. So that's really the strat here. You spend 1 year, you dedicate 1 year to fully kind of digging your roots into the area and identifying yourself as the go-to expert. And during this 1 year, you can take, small projects, charge people, make a little bit of money. You don't need to become a billionaire doing this. No, just get by, cover only your expenses. Your expenses are $5K a month. Try to only make $5K a month from people. That's fine. 1 year, skirt by, making bare minimum, okay? Just covering your expenses. And then second year, start the expansion process. Start charging more, start doing more, start reaching out more. And put yourself as the emphasis for your local area. Start running workshops, start running webinars. Maybe hire out a space once a week or once a month type of thing, and invite people over to talk about how AI can be useful for businesses. We have Dom doing that in Australia, right, in Sydney. So there's so much opportunity. You just have to put yourself in that specific mindset and put yourself in that situation. Because once again, the core idea that I want to talk about, the two things I really want to highlight again, this concept of leverage, it exists, and it is a lot more important than you think it is, okay? Once again, if you made 500,000 a day for 365 days for the last 2,025 years, Musk will still be wealthier than you. Think about how absurd that is. And another thing, no matter how many mistakes you've made up until this point, no matter what has happened in your life, right? Let me see where I just lost it. I could have sworn it was here somewhere. There we go. No matter how many mistakes you've made, no matter what you've gone through, right? You only need that one or two successes, that one or two things that you do right that will pretty much just fix everything else. Now, are there negative multipliers too? Yes, there are negative multipliers as well. But most of you watching this, if you're already a software engineer, you've gone through everything in your life and you're already in a position where you're making over 6 figures a year, guess what? You're very, very far away from this. You don't have to worry about that. This will never happen to you, okay? Or the chances of it happening to you are very, very, very low. Like I'm talking about like going to prison and things like that on this side. You really mainly have to worry about these 1x's, like these negative maybe 3x, negative 5x here, whatever. But you're gonna have 100,000x there somewhere, you're gonna have a 10,000x. And these might sound a little arbitrary, but these can be just even conversations from people. Having one conversation with somebody in your network, having one conversation with a business owner that gives you an opportunity to get into this space, construct a solution out of it, whatever the case may be. So it is very much possible to get rich quick for a software engineer. And why software engineer specifically? Because once again, you guys are the best for this. There's nobody else who can do this better than you. Because there's nobody else who can connect the technical to the non-technical in this day and age where we're living, where literally technology is taking over everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I went on a little bit of a yap session, but if you have any questions whatsoever, please, as always, let me know down in the comments below. Have a good one.